currently some feedback that I've received is that for a long time, the incumbent has lived in the city and been part of the community. And while I haven't lived in the city as long, I do have an 8-year-old daughter who we own a house. We're planning on being here as a family for a long time. And so really my impetus to run is to build a village and a community that she and all of the residents can be proud of. And so that's why I decided to run, because I want to make a difference. I want to make an impact. And I have a vested interest in the community thriving going forward because of my daughter and my family being here for a long time. So what are your thoughts on, and what would you tell people in District 3 regarding that issue, having a longtime resident versus someone that may not be here as long, but who has a vested interest going forward?
Well, for me, that issue, actually, I can say when I was elected 33 years ago, I've been in the city less than 3 years. And I certainly have been in the region for a lot, longer, really most of my life. But I've been a Duarte resident through, less than 3 years. There were a series of circumstances that got me involved. And I think at this standpoint, it's safe to say you've both been in the city long enough. You've both demonstrated your bona fides. Your opponent has, you have. But I think as you look at the situation today and what the city is faced with, it comes down to who do people think is best able to analyze the situation, use their problem-solving skills, develop a consensus, and really try and move policy in a way that's going to help the city out. And I think there are issues today that really have been there for a while. And I guess I'm going to go into housing and homelessness. I think over the last 3 years, they've been accentuated more and more. And again, I think you, as well as your colleagues on the council, are going to have to rethink some of these policies about where we want to go. And my sense is you might be a bit more flexible in terms of looking at the issues at hand, recognizing as we fail to build housing and as we fail to address the issue of people that are homeless within our city, the default housing does become the riverbed. And as I've talked to people, to Supervisor Barger, to Supervisor Solis, there's some distance in their perspectives, but not as much as maybe some think. Their view, and I totally agree that we need to get that riverbed cleaned up. It is totally unsafe to have people housed there. But I think taking a much more holistic view of what needs to be done, taking a fresh view, will really be helpful. And I think with your skills that you have, your analytical skills, your project management skills, being able to take a fresh look at this, not being tied to decisions that were made in the past and platforms you had in the past, but to be able to really look at this from the standpoint of how do we really clean up the riverbed and how do we address some of these issues that are really larger than our city, but still impact our city directly and still require that to be solved, we probably have to take more action than we've taken.
Thank you for that, John. And I know when I spoke with Supervisor Barger, when I asked her for the endorsement, she's so collaborative. I know that she is getting pressure, as you mentioned, and she's mentioned the same thing, that she and Supervisor Solis are speaking more about this. My goal is to look at the different options and get the riverbed so that we can have recreational activities again that I hear so much about that used to occur, and find places for the people who need and want to have alternate housing, even if it's transitional housing that can then get them into something more permanent. And I think you're right. I think from all the research that I'm doing with all the different people that are familiar with the people living in the riverbed, with Foothill Community or Foothill Unity Center, what I'm finding is that a lot of the people that live in the riverbed really like that lifestyle. So that's another component of it that I think we need to look at in a separate work stream. So I appreciate that you've broken that down and that you have faith in me because of my skill set to be able to look at this analytically and try and come up with some solutions. So I know it's not an easy problem, that it's multifaceted, and that's why I'm doing as much research as I can now and asking people along the way, is this actionable if I should win? So thank you for that. The next question I have for you, and you partially responded to it, but why do you think I would make the best city council person for District 3.
Well, again, I will go back to the skills that you have, the business experience you have, the project management skills you have, what your analysis skills. I go back to all that. I actually do want to tie back just, we used to, when my family was young, we'd go into that riverbed all the time. My son actually caught
Mm-hmm.
fishing.
Oh.
Today, people have fear about going in too close and close to the riverbed. And that fear is justified based on the fact that there are people there that are very insecure, or unsafe based on some of their neighbors, the mental illness that's out there, the drug addiction. But really, for a lot of people that are homeless, just some bad luck as well, medical issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I think being able to take a fresh look at this, recognizing, as you said, there are many dimensions to it,
Mm-hmm.
but recognizing that we probably need to seize a little bit more control of our destiny directly as well to try and impact it. And I think you're probably not as encumbered to some of the past decisions that have been made as somebody coming on new, as Vin Trong would be in replacing me. But to get, at some level, you build up a record, a history of what you've done. But somebody that isn't tied to all that, but can take a fresh look at all this, somebody who has the intelligence in to look at it and say, you know what, let's try this. And it's a huge issue. I mean, it's probably more
Mm-hmm.
complicated than anything I've dealt with in my time on the council. And I've dealt with some gnarly things like the gold line that took 20 some years, where I was hoping they'd take 5 to get them out here. But this is really the issue of our times, and I think you bring the skills, as will Vin, to really take a new look at this and work with your colleagues on the dais to figure out how we best navigate while the state and the county are also moving to try and address how do we create adequate housing for the people that live here and the people that want to live here.
Well, thank you so much, John, and thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. Again, I appreciate your endorsement and your support, and I look forward to calling you for advice sometime should I win, and I hope I win. I voted
Well,
today.
well, good. I voted a few days ago. I didn't vote for you because I'm not in your district, but I wish you well on election day, and I will be in Duarte regardless of what happens on election day. So I'm here for phone calls and look forward to staying involved.
Thank you so much for your time. Have a
Take
great
care, Jody.
weekend.
You too.
Bye.